creative side of, okay, well, you can become the creature and destroy humans. And when we played it a lot over the last year, it was like we needed to take it another step further, because it's not about survival. Horde is about survival. Can I last all 50 waves and fight my way and stay alive? But when you're playing as a berserker, you're playing as a boomer or whatever it is, you want to feel like an overpowered monster that you're going through and just tearing up the humans. And so that became the focus of Beast. And so we didn't want to make it be like, oh, I don't know if I'll make it. It's about, instead we wanted to make it be, how fast can you do it? How efficiently can you destroy all of the humans and take down their fortifications? And so that's what we really sort of tailored it to now, is like, Beast is a class-based system. You have the Cantus as a healer, and the Boomer as an explosives person. You got the Wild Tickers who take down fortifications. So finding the combinations, of all the creatures to make the best squad that can go out and assault the humans and destroy them as quickly as possible. Because that's what you're posting to the leaderboard. You're posting your top time, where here's how fast we made it through 12 waves, instead of here's my best score or whatever. It's how quickly can you do it. And so while you're playing, every human you kill, every fortification you destroy, gets you two things. It gets you money to be able to buy better and better creatures, and it gets you time on the clock, because you only get a minute when it starts, and you gotta keep destroying before that minute runs out. Otherwise, you fail, and the Hammer of Dawn comes down and destroys you all. But it's a kind of like different take on it. So Horde is survival, Beast is about setting the fast time.
How many maps are going to ship with the game?
There's going to be equivalent to what we've shipped in the past, so we're still locking down exact numbers, but it'll be the same or more than we've shipped in the past.
Okay, what about playable characters? How many playable characters will the game ship with? There's
a ton. I mean, there's a ton of them. As you see when you're doing through the demo and all the stuff that we're unlocking, I mean, you see that we've talked about Bernie and Sam and Clayton and Jace and Dizzy, and that's not even getting into the Locust. There's way more than we've ever had it before.
Is the Vulcan the only weapon that wasn't in the beta that is in the game?
There's another one that we're revealing as part of Horde, so you'll find out about that either from tonight or tomorrow on. So that's sort of our last two remaining weapons that we'll be revealing as part of the game.
Okay, I got a good one for you. Are you guys going to have holiday specials? Like, I'm thinking Christmas, everybody has a Santa hat on, and maybe St. Patrick's Day, everybody has beer goggles, and everything's blurry.
Yeah, exactly. All the women look hot. I mean, basically, the bunny ears basically, was us showing that we have the ability to do that kind of stuff, and so your assumptions are fair ones. Let's put it that way.
Okay, we've seen already Jace and Bernie. They come from the comics and from the books.
Yep.
Do you see any life for these characters after the game anywhere else besides in Metal Gear trilogy?
Do you mean in terms of more other
novels,
parts of it, more novels?
films,
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely. We're still working with Karen. I mean, Coalition's End. I think it's August 8th is the next book that comes out, which will really be the bridge to Gears 3. Like, if you want to know what all the story to get you into Gears 3, you got to read Coalition's End. But Bernie lives on in terms of the books and stuff, and same thing for Jason, the comic book. So definitely want to continue that stuff going beyond the game. The game is we want to tell this story, and we're doing that. And it's going to have a conclusion. There's no cliffhanger, but the other parts of the IP or the other parts of the franchise, we still want to live on for sure.
Okay,
so you have told us a little about the Beast mode, but what about Horde? Are you thinking, are you going to do some change? Or?
Oh yeah, no, Horde has changed drastically, and that's the kind of stuff we're going to be talking about tomorrow and the day after. Is that we have our Horde reveal tonight, and then after that we'll be talking about Horde.
So where do you draw the inspiration for the new weapons, and even the old ones like the Hammer of Dawn? Like, where did you draw the inspiration for these new weapons?
We focused on a couple things. I mean, we get different inspirations for different things. I mean, the torque bow is kind of like the Rambo bow and arrow, and a lot of it is just trying to find twists on older tech. We didn't want to have laser weapons. The Hammer of Dawn is sort of our highest tech weapon, but we felt like we wanted to have Vietnam era ballistic weapons, and so trying to see what we can do to keep it low tech and gritty and grungy. And so when we do our designs, we try to keep focused on that.
How beneficial was the recent public beta testing?
Oh, the beta was huge, just huge. I mean, on so many different levels, from having like 1.3 million players play the beta, and having, I think it was over 20 million matches played and that kind of stuff, and around the world on dedicated servers. We learned so much from the dedicated server side, just about how best to use dedicated servers, where they should be, all that kind of stuff, and how we should do our matchmaking, and then it was like, oh, these two maps have a spawn camping problem, and so we fixed that in Trenches and Thrashball. We blew out openings on those, and we found some weapon balance tweaks that we wanted to do, and we put those in. Found two ribbons that people didn't like, the 25 and 50 levels above you, because they're like, I will never get, no one will ever be 50 levels above me, I'll never get this ribbon. So we're like, that's a fair point. So we cut those and brought in, like, I think 7 or 8 more new ones to help. And so we learned a lot. And as I was saying, for every problem we had during the beta, it was just one less problem we would have on September 20th. So we're excited now.
So with the biggest pre-sale ever, do your nerves increase as much as your excitement levels?
Yeah, well, sure. You know, I'm trying to. That's always been the case with Gears 3. I think is the anticipation and the expectation of the customer. It's been a hard one for us, to be honest with you, because in Gears 1 and Gears 2, when you're trying to focus your efforts, sometimes you trim stuff off and say, okay, we can focus that one the next time, or that's something that's not quite fitting today, so we'll chop it off and we'll maybe look at it for the next one. Where Gears 3, what we knew was the last one, the story, it was like the culmination of all this. It was very hard to be that kind of surgical. It was hard to cut stuff, and so that's why when I look and when I start recounting everything that's in there with campaign mode, and then the arcade version of campaign mode, and then beast mode, and horde mode, and competitive multiplayer, and dedicated servers, and all the stuff we're doing, and just to me in my mind, the box is like bulging from being so full, and that's what it feels like. And part of it is it's great for the customer and it's great as a game, but it's been certainly a challenge from the production side. I mean, thank God for our extension to September, because it's allowed us to take that quantity and make it highly polished.
So this will be the closer for the Gears of War franchise. Is this going to be a trilogy?
For this trilogy, yeah, for this story, this is Marcus's story. So.
Do you think the female characters in the game are every bit as memorable and strong as the male ones?
I think so. I mean, Anya is great. Sam is a great new addition to the cast as well. And seeing Anya's transformation from desk clerk to soldier. So I think they all stand out and they all have their own strength. We treat them as equals. We don't pander to anything. We don't like, oh, you can't do that to a female soldier. They're out there fighting just like everybody else. So.
And how is DLC? Is Gears of War 3 going to get as much DLC as Gears of War 2 got? And are you guys going to have any retro maps maybe?
Yeah, all that stuff's TBD. I mean, obviously it makes a lot of sense in this day and age to let the product live on beyond your first ship date, and so finding the best ways to keep the customer involved and getting value to the customers who've already purchased it and stuff. Like, those are all things we're going to explore at a later time for sure.
What can you tell us about the new console? I see it's already
I can tell you all about the new console.
Okay, tell us all.
So basically, the new console is designed at Epic Games, and with a lot of help, obviously, with Microsoft. It comes with 2 controllers, which is usually only come with 1, so it comes with 2 controllers. The standard new console comes with 250 gig hard drive. The Gears one comes with 300 gig. It's got custom gear sound, so when you open and close the tray or power it on, it will play a different gear sound. It's got we're putting an entire weapon pack in there, so the Infected Omen, which is sort of pulsing, infected, kind of like what's on the side of the box, will be on the guns, and then you'll get, for all 5 weapons, will come in that as well. So plus you get the game, so there's a lot of cool stuff in it. It's going to be coming out September 20th with everything else. It'll be available day 1, and it's retailing around $399.
Ed Boon had stated a while back that after he saw the first Gears of War game, he was like, for Mortal Kombat, he was like, this is the look that we were going for, this is what we wanted, this is what we should be doing, after seeing the blood and the gore, and the violence. How does that make you feel that the early's 90 pioneer, like Ed Boon and Mortal Kombat franchise, have looked in your direction and, think that it's such
it feels great. I mean, people looking at our game and saying this is something that is really cool, whether it be our cover system or the gore level, or finding the grittiness and the realness to it, because that's something we've been really working hard to find. We wanted the Gears of War franchise to feel grounded and anchored and gritty and dirty, and that there's a civilization there, and all that stuff is. People talk about that, setting standards or baselines or whatever it is, it feels really, really good. And for us, the gore though has only been about finding the line of, is it over the top enough? Like when you change something, because we experimented with different levels of, if I went to chainsaw you in the game and I caught on your shoulder blade and then I grind until I get to your spine and it takes longer to get through that. I mean, it kind of gets gross and a little more disturbing, but if I go to chainsaw you and you basically pop in half and people laugh, and so it's been that kind of notion of making it real and visceral, but also making it fun and that you laugh and you don't go throw up.
Fine tuning.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that first head pop, man, I was hooked.
finding the right sound is critical too.
How are you guys going about balancing the new 4-player co-op? And is it going to be drop-in and drop-out co-op?
Yeah, it's the same co-op that you've had in the previous Gears. Drop in, drop out, individual difficulty levels. So you can have one person on casual, one on normal, one on hardcore, one on insane. You can play completely with separate difficulties. So it's all it's been a challenge from a balancing perspective, but we've set up the levels are created for more cover and more flanking. So it's a little bit more a throwback to Gears 1, and then having open areas where you can do more flanking and that kind of stuff, like what we call them combat bowls. So it's a little less hallway, a little more these bigger areas where you can have more fun trying to figure out different ways to attack as a team, which you just have to do. You need more room to move around. So,
Do you guys feel any kind of pressure? Again, I know this is the best pre-order game to date, but I don't know if that makes you feel comfortable or
no. I mean, it's exciting, right? I mean, there's pressure because there's customer expectation, but it's also just really exciting to know that people are that eager to. People get sequels are hard. I mean, you can go either one of two ways for you with a sequel, right? It's either going to go up or it's going to go down. And it's in the sense that people are like, okay, I've done it enough, or that, oh, I can't wait to get more of what I love. And that's so it's always kind of a little bit nervous whenever you're putting out a sequel. So when you start to see that early kind of recognition of, wow, that people really want, they're really looking for that next version. It's really exciting. So we're hoping we can deliver. That we feel like we made the best Gears we've ever made. So I hope that customers will feel the same.
Hey guys, sorry, we've just got about 2 more questions.
For the first-time gamer, somebody that maybe gets his first Xbox for Christmas this year, why would you recommend Gears of 3 as a good starting point into the world of gaming?
Oh, wow, Gears of War is a good start in the world of gaming. I like that. Let's go with that. Can we put that on the box? Write that down. Well, I mean, I think part of it is that, when you're in the industry, you kind of lose a little perspective on what it is to be a customer out there that only buys 2 games a year, that kind of thing. Like, because you might tend to buy 1 or 2 games every month because you're just keeping up with the industry. And so when you think about that, people with that value proposition, as I was talking about, I think there's just so much content in Gears as a product right now with all the different modes and different ways of playing and cooperative and competitive and story-based. And then when you look at Gears of War 3 for us is the most accessible version of our game. That we always say, like, this is not a version of the game that you should be like, oh, well, if you didn't play 1 and 2, don't play 3 because you'll be lost. It's not that way. We've worked really hard to make sure it's really broad and accessible, and then when you get into it, it'll be an easier way to play. And so there's stuff in the competitive that we've done to make it easier to play. There's stuff we're doing like with Beast and Horde that makes it easier to play. So it's a good introduction. And the nice thing we've always said is, like, the idea of stop and pop gameplay, the idea of taking cover is so much easier to deal with than really fast. Like, you can actually go into cover and gather your wits and figure out what you do next, and go, like, you can actually, if you're new to 2-stick gaming, like that, a cover-based game is a great game to get in on because you can actually take time to go into cover and hide and go like, okay, let me figure it out, as opposed to having to figure out circle strafing and jumping and all that stuff, right?
All right, 2 words. Seriously 3.0.
Seriously 3.0 will exist, will not be 1,000,000 kills.
Okay. Is that all you're gonna say on? Is that all you're gonna say on it?
Actually, no. You should know it. I mean, it's at GearsOfWar.com. Our achievements are out. Seriously, like, so if you've done your research, Seriously 3.0. Yeah, exactly. Seriously 3.0 is get an Onyx medal, get to level 100, and get an Onyx medal, and get an Onyx in every medal. So all the medals we have in the game, you can go bronze, silver, gold, Onyx, and so if you get an Onyx in every medal in the game, then that's Seriously 3.0.
Are games developers the new pop stars?
I don't know about game developers in general. I think Cliff is a new pop star. No, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I think part of it is what's been great is Twitter's been great. Is that I was reasonably obscure and still am, but the Twitter gives you a voice to people who want to hear it, and so I now have 32,000 followers, and so like that's really cool that I've never had that previously. I've been in the industry, so I don't know if I go as far as pop stars, but it's kind of cool to have that we're finding an audience who wants to hear us. And so it's kind of cool to be able to communicate with them and get that feedback.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.